Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is not a surface level transit. This is the kind of energy that changes you from the inside out. From May 6th through October 15th, Pluto retrogrades from 5 degrees to 3 degrees Aquarius, pulling you into a deeper confrontation with the patterns, fears, identities, and emotional survival mechanisms that have been quietly running your life beneath the surface. This isn't about dramatic change overnight. It's about becoming honest about what no longer feels aligned internally, even if it still looks fine externally. With Pluto forming powerful aspects to Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, Jupiter in Leo, and Chiron in Taurus, this retrograde is exposing where you've outgrown past versions of yourself, what emotional patterns are keeping you stuck, where your life is demanding deeper authenticity, and what part of your identity is ready to evolve. So grab your birth chart and let's decode what Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is here to purge, rebuild, and transform in your life.
Hey, Aries. So, this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius means that this time is about you choosing relationships, goals, and future visions that actually reflect who you're becoming and not who you had to be to survive. Now, this Pluto retrograde may feel like a long, quiet reality check around your future. And this is not necessarily in a dramatic way, but more in a deeply honest one. So you may begin noticing that certain friendships, communities, collaborations, or long term goals no longer feel emotionally aligned. Some connections may start to feel transactional. Some dreams may no longer excite you the way they once did. And certain versions of success may suddenly feel empty if they require abandoning yourself to maintain them. This Pluto retrograde is helping you to recognize where you've outgrown spaces that once felt important to you. And because Pluto is moving through your 11th house, this process may feel emotional at times. You may realize how much of your identity has been tied to being needed, validated, included, or understood by certain people. But this transit is not trying to isolate you. It's trying to help you build a future that actually reflects the person you are now, not the version of you that learned how to survive through overextending, overperforming, or constantly proving yourself. This retrograde may also completely transform the way that you think about community, audience building, networking, social media, friendship, and the kinds of people you want around you long term. You are being asked to stop shrinking your future to maintain outdated connections. Now, of course, during this retrograde season, Pluto will be making a few major aspects. Lasting the duration of this retrograde from May through October, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune in Aries. So, this aspect is slowly dissolving old identities and helping you to reconnect with a more authentic version of yourself. So, because this is happening in your first house, you may feel more intuitive, emotionally aware, creative, and spiritually connected during this retrograde. At the same time, you may feel increasingly uncomfortable pretending to be versions of yourself that no longer feel honest. For some Aries, this may completely shift your personal style, branding, online presence, spiritual beliefs, or a long term direction. You may also notice yourself becoming far more sensitive to environments and people that drain your energy. This aspect is helping you to trust yourself more deeply. But first, it may expose how often you've ignored your own intuition to maintain external stability. From June through October, Pluto will make a trine to Uranus, currently in Gemini, in your third house. So, this transit feels mentally expansive. So, your ideas, communication style, voice, and perspective will evolve dramatically during this time. So, you may suddenly feel called to launch something new, teach, write, speak publicly, share your ideas more openly, or completely shift how you communicate online. So, this can bring unexpected opportunities through social media, networking, business, writing, education, technology, or community spaces. This transit to Uranus can also completely change the kinds of conversations that you're having and the people you're connecting with. During this time, your voice is evolving, and the people who resonate with you may evolve too. Now, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo. So, this may temporarily magnify tension within your relationships. So, this could absolutely show up romantically, but it may also show up through business partnerships, clients, friendships, audiences, collaborations, or people projecting expectations onto you. So, you may notice certain people becoming uncomfortable with your growth, confidence, visibility, or changing priorities. At the same time, this transit may expose where you've been overextending yourself trying to keep everyone happy. You cannot build an aligned future while constantly managing other people's reactions to your evolution. So, this transit is asking you to stop making yourself smaller to preserve connection. Finally, on August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which will be in your second house. So, this may bring deeper insecurities around your self worth, money, belonging, or feeling valued. So, you may notice old wounds surfacing around being overlooked, feeling excluded, financial insecurity, comparison, or questioning your value within certain spaces. This transit may also expose where your self worth has become too dependent on external validation, audience response, productivity, or social approval. Now, this awareness may feel uncomfortable, but it can also be incredibly freeing for you during this time because this retrograde is teaching you how to build confidence that isn't constantly depending on who approves of you. Now, some of the best ways for you to utilize this Pluto in retrograde in Aquarius energy is first to let yourself outgrow people. Not every friendship or community is meant to follow you into your next chapter. So stop forcing alignment where growth has already created distance. Next is to protect your vision for the future. You may feel pressure to stay relatable or familiar to others, but don't minimize your expansion just because it makes someone else uncomfortable. Next is to trust the evolution of your voice. Your communication style, ideas, and perspective are changing for a reason. So let yourself experiment instead of trying to sound like your past self. Next is to stop measuring your worth through external validation. This Pluto retrograde may expose where approval has quietly become emotionally addictive. So build confidence that exists even when no one is clapping yet. And finally, choose relationships that support your growth. So pay attention to who genuinely celebrates your evolution versus who only feels comfortable with the version of you that needed less. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto and Aquarius retrograde is: I trust the person I am becoming. I release outdated connections, old validation patterns, and futures that no longer reflect my truth. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this gave you clarity, be sure to support this video with a like, share it with someone who's figuring things out too, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay connected. And if you felt seen here, a one-on-one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Taurus. So, during this Pluto retrograde and Aquarius season, this time is about you building a version of success that actually feels aligned with your soul, not just impressive from the outside. This Pluto retrograde may completely change the way that you think about success, ambition, visibility, and the life you're trying to build. At first, some of these realizations may feel uncomfortable. And this is because Pluto moving through your 10th house is not just transforming your career, it's transforming your relationship with achievement itself. So you may begin realizing that certain goals no longer feel emotionally fulfilling. Some career paths may start feeling restrictive. Some versions of success may suddenly feel too performative, exhausting, or disconnected from who you've become internally. And for many Tauruses, this retrograde may expose how much pressure you've been carrying quietly. The pressure to maintain stability, the pressure to appear successful, the pressure to hold everything together, or even the pressure to prove your value through productivity. But this transit is asking a much deeper question. What happens when success no longer feels worth abandoning yourself for? This retrograde may completely reshape your professional direction over the next several months. Some of you may pivot careers entirely. Others may restructure businesses, redefine leadership, change industries, or release goals that no longer feel meaningful. And while this may feel destabilizing at times, this retrograde is ultimately helping you to build something far more sustainable and authentic long term. Now, during Pluto's retrograde transit, it will make a few major aspects. One of them being from May through October, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your 12th house. So, this aspect feels deeply internal. So, your intuition is going to become much stronger during this retrograde, especially around career decisions, leadership roles, long term goals, and who or what is quietly draining your energy. So, you may feel increasingly disconnected from environments that require constant performance. emotional suppression or sacrificing your peace to maintain appearances. At the same time, this transit may strengthen your spiritual connection, creativity, healing abilities, subconscious awareness, or desire for a more meaningful life path. Now, some Tauruses may feel called toward quieter forms of success, more freedom, more purpose driven work, or careers that feel emotionally aligned rather than purely practical. This aspect is helping you to reconnect with what success actually means to you. Now, from June through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini, currently in your second house. So, this feels financially and professionally innovative. So, this is unexpected career opportunities, income shifts, business ideas, technology based opportunities, online visibility, or entirely new earning models may all begin emerging. So, you may feel increasingly ready to stop relying on outdated financial structures or career paths that feel limiting. This transit can also dramatically change your relationship with money. You may begin valuing freedom, flexibility, creativity, or autonomy far more than external status. So, this means that your definition of wealth will evolve completely during this time. Starting July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which will be in your fourth house. This may temporarily create tension between your public life and your private life. So, career responsibilities may feel overwhelming. Family dynamics may demand more attention. And you may feel pulled between ambition and emotional exhaustion. Some Taurus risings may realize that they've built a life that looks stable externally while quietly neglecting their emotional well being internally. This transit can also expose where you've been trying to hold everything together for everyone else. You are not meant to carry the emotional weight of everyone around you while also trying to build your future alone. This transit is asking you to stop treating burnout like proof of dedication. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto will make a square to Chiron, which will then be in Taurus, your first house. So this may feel deeply personal. Old insecurities around visibility, worthiness, failure, success, being judged, or not feeling good enough may rise to the surface. You may notice yourself questioning your direction, appearance, confidence, identity, or whether you're truly capable of building the life you want. And while this transit may temporarily trigger self doubt, it's ultimately helping you to heal very old wounds around self worth and public visibility. This is because many Tauruses have spent years trying to prove their value through consistency, reliability, or achievement. But this retrograde is teaching you that your worth exists even when you're not constantly producing. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this Pluto retrograding in Aquarius energy is first to redefine success for yourself. So, you may be outgrowing goals that once felt important. So, be sure that you let yourself evolve instead of forcing yourself to stay attached to outdated versions of success. Next is to stop glorifying exhaustion. Burnout is not a personality trait. Your body and nervous system need stability too. Next is to stay open to professional change. Unexpected career shifts may ultimately create more freedom, alignment, and financial growth than you originally planned. Next is to separate your worth from your productivity. This retrograde will expose how heavily your identity has become tied to achievement. You deserve rest, softness, and fulfillment too. And finally, listen to your intuition more closely. Your inner guidance is becoming incredibly strong during this retrograde. Pay attention to what feels emotionally draining versus genuinely aligned. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto in Aquarius retrograde is: I release the pressure to prove myself through exhaustion. I am building a life and career that truly align with who I am becoming. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this Pluto in Aquarius retrograde is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this gave you clarity, be sure to support this video with a like, share it with someone who's figuring things out too, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay connected. And if you know you're meant for more, but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. Plus, I offer over 10 different session styles to match what you actually need. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Gemini. So, during this Pluto in Aquarius retrograde season, this time is about you trusting the version of yourself that is ready for a much bigger life, even if it requires leaving old mentalities behind. This Pluto retrograde may completely reshape the way that you think about your future. And not just in a practical sense, but also philosophically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Because Pluto is moving through your ninth house, this is slowly transforming your beliefs, your perspective, your vision for your life, and the limitations you've unconsciously accepted as realistic. So that means that some of those limitations may start feeling impossible to tolerate now. So you may begin craving more freedom, more truth, more meaning, more expansion, or more experiences that actually make you feel alive. Now, at the same time, this retrograde may expose where fear has quietly kept you playing smaller than you're meant to. So, this is fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of instability, fear of outgrowing people, or the fear of becoming too much. This transit may also completely shift your relationship with travel, spirituality, education, publishing, teaching, media, online visibility, or the way that you share your ideas with the world. You are not meant to think the same way you did before this retrograde began. Your mind is expanding beyond old limitations during this period. Now, during this Pluto retrograding in Aquarius transit, it's going to make a few aspects. Now, throughout this retrograde, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your 11th house. So, this aspect can completely change the kinds of people, communities, and future visions that you feel aligned with. So, you may become more drawn toward people who inspire growth, creativity, spiritual expansion, innovation, healing, or bigger possibilities for your life. At the same time, certain friendships or social spaces may start feeling emotionally disconnected or energetically draining. You may realize that you've outgrown environments that once felt exciting simply because your consciousness is changing. This aspect can also strengthen your intuition around where your future is trying to lead you. So, your dreams may become more vivid. Your creative ideas may feel more expansive. Your long term vision may begin evolving rapidly. You are being asked to stop limiting your future to what feels familiar. Starting in June through October, Pluto will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini, your first house. So, this feels massive for personal reinvention. Your identity, confidence, appearance, communication style, and overall direction in life is evolving dramatically during this retrograde. And you may actually surprise yourself. So you may suddenly feel ready to change careers, move, teach, launch something new, become more visible, share your ideas publicly, or completely change the trajectory of your life. This transit supports radical authenticity. So, the more honest you become about who you actually are, the faster your life will begin changing. July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will then make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which will be your third house. So, this may temporarily create mental overwhelm. So, your mind may feel overloaded with decisions, conversations, possibilities, information, responsibilities, or pressure to figure everything out. Now, at the same time, this transit can expose where your current environment, routines, or thought patterns feel too small for the life you actually want. So you may feel restless, but that restlessness is trying to tell you something important. This transit is asking you to stop convincing yourself that your growth is unrealistic simply because it requires change. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, your 12th house. So this feels deeply psychological. So old fears around trust, surrender, uncertainty, visibility, spirituality, or leaving your comfort zone may surface strongly during this period. So you may notice subconscious self sabotage patterns becoming more obvious. So this can look like avoidance, procrastination, fear of success, overthinking, fear of being seen, or talking yourself out of opportunities before they fully arrive. So, this transit may feel emotionally intense at times, but it's helping you uncover the hidden fears that have quietly limited your expansion for years. And once you see those patterns clearly, they lose power over you. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius is first to let yourself want more. Stop minimizing your dreams just because they require bigger changes than you originally planned for. Next is to pay attention to mental burnout. Your nervous system may become overstimulated during this retrograde. So be sure to create intentional space away from constant information and noise. Next is to trust the evolution of your identity. You are not meant to stay the same version of yourself forever. Let yourself evolve publicly and unapologetically. Next is to watch your self talk closely. This retrograde is exposing limiting beliefs very clearly. So pay attention to the stories you repeatedly tell yourself about what's possible. And finally, follow what expands you. This means travel, education, writing, spirituality, teaching, creativity, or sharing your ideas will become deeply transformative for you during this period. So be sure you lock in. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit is: I trust the expansion unfolding in my life. I release old limitations and allow myself to grow beyond what once felt possible. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this brought you clarity you didn't have before, be sure to like this video, share, hype, and subscribe to stay connected to this kind of energy. And if you feel like you've outgrown where you are but don't know what comes next, a one on one with me will help you understand exactly what's shifting and why. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Cancer. So, during this Pluto and Aquarius retrograde cycle, this is about you reclaiming your emotional power instead of giving it away through fear, overattachment, or survival based control. This Pluto retrograde may feel deeply emotional because it's working on the parts of your life that you usually keep hidden from other people. Pluto moving through your eighth house is not surface level energy. This transit transforms trust, intimacy, shared finances, emotional attachment, fear, power dynamics, vulnerability, and the emotional survival patterns you've developed over time. And during this retrograde, you may begin noticing where fear has quietly been running more of your life than you realized. So, this is fear of loss, fear of betrayal, fear of instability, fear of needing people, fear of being emotionally exposed, and fear of not being able to control outcomes. Now, for some Cancer risings, you may experience major shifts involving debt, taxes, investments, business partnerships, inheritance matters, financial supports, or emotional entanglements. Others may go through deep internal transformation around intimacy, attachment, and emotional dependency. Now, this retrograde may feel uncomfortable at times because it's asking you to stop controlling everything from a place of fear. You are learning how to feel emotionally safe without needing to micromanage every possible outcome. Now, during this retrograde season for Pluto, it's going to make a few major aspects. The first of them being a sextile to Neptune in Aries. And this aspect is going to be for the duration of this Pluto retrograde cycle. Because you currently have Neptune in your 10th house, this aspect is quietly reshaping your career direction and your relationship with success. So you may begin craving work that feels emotionally meaningful instead of purely practical or financially secure. At the same time, this transit may heighten your intuition around business, leadership, visibility, and the environments that either empower or drain you. Some Cancer risings may feel increasingly called toward healing work, spirituality, psychology, creative work, or careers that involve emotional depth and transformation. This aspect also softens some of Pluto's intensity by helping you trust your intuition more deeply. The more emotionally honest you become, the clearer your direction will feel. Now, starting in June through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini, currently in your 12th house. So, this is deeply psychological and healing. So, you will experience some powerful subconscious breakthroughs during this retrograde. Old fears, emotional patterns, relationship wounds, attachment dynamics, or suppressed emotions will suddenly become much easier to recognize. And some realizations may completely change how you see yourself and your past. This transit can also create profound spiritual awakenings, emotional releases, vivid dreams, or moments where hidden truths suddenly become obvious. You are literally releasing emotional weight that has quietly lived inside your nervous system for years. Next, starting July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is your second house. So, this may temporarily magnify financial and emotional extremes. So, you may feel tension around self worth, money, dependence, support from others, shared resources, or the balance between giving and receiving. This transit can also expose where you've become emotionally or financially overextended trying to create security. At the same time, it can reveal where fear of vulnerability has kept you overly self protective. During this transit, you are learning that true stability is not built through emotional isolation. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which is your 11th house. So, this can bring wounds around belonging, trust within your friendships, community dynamics, or feeling emotionally safe around other people. So you could realize that certain friendships or social spaces no longer feel emotionally aligned. And for some cancers, this may expose where you've tolerated draining dynamics because you feared being alone or disconnected. This transit is asking you to stop confusing emotional familiarity with genuine alignment. Not everyone is meant to move forward with you. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius transit is first to stop trying to control everything emotionally. Some of your deepest healing will happen when you stop micromanaging outcomes and allow yourself to trust the process more fully. Next is to be honest about your fears. This retrograde may expose fears that you've been carrying quietly for years. Naming them honestly will help release their power over you. Next is to pay attention to emotional exhaustion. Your nervous system will feel heavier during this retrograde. So, rest, emotional processing, and solitude will become incredibly important. Next is to reevaluate who truly feels safe. Some relationships and friendships may no longer feel emotionally aligned. So be sure to pay attention to who drains you versus who supports your growth. And finally, let yourself receive support. You do not need to emotionally carry everything alone. Vulnerability will become part of your healing during this period. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto and Aquarius retrograde is: I release fear based control and trust myself to navigate change with strength, honesty, and emotional clarity. Be sure to let me know how Pluto and Aquarius retrograding is affecting you in the comments below. And if this gave you clarity, be sure to support this video with a like, share it with someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe for what's next. And if you felt seen here, a one-on-one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session will shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 different session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Leo. So, during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius season, this time is about you choosing relationships that honor who you're becoming instead of relationships that require you to abandon yourself to maintain them. This Pluto retrograde is going to completely transform the way you approach relationships, and not just romantic relationships. This includes friendships, business partnerships, clients, family dynamics, audiences, collaborations, and every connection built on mutual exchange. This is because Pluto moving through your seventh house forces honesty around power dynamics. And during this retrograde, you will begin noticing where certain relationships feel emotionally unequal, draining, controlling, performative, or no longer aligned with the version of you that's emerging. Some people may struggle with your growth. Some may project expectations onto you. And some may only feel comfortable with the version of you that was easier to access, easier to manage, or more willing to overextend yourself emotionally. And of course, with this energy, that realization may feel painful at times. And this is because Leos are incredibly loyal once they're emotionally invested. But this retrograde is asking you to stop sacrificing your own evolution to preserve connections that no longer fit your future. And at the same time, this transit can bring powerfully aligned relationships into your life. But first, it has to clear out dynamics that are built on imbalance, ego, emotional dependency, or silent resentment. So, of course, during Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius, it's going to make a few aspects during that time. One of the first being from May through October, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune, currently in Aries, in your ninth house. So, this aspect can completely expand your perspective around relationships, love, partnership, and what emotional alignment actually feels like. So, you may become drawn toward people who inspire growth, freedom, emotional honesty, spirituality, creativity, or expansion. Some Leos may meet people through travel, education, online platforms, teaching, media, or spiritual spaces who significantly change the direction of their lives. At the same time, this transit will expose where fantasy or idealization has shaped certain relationships. You are learning how to see people more clearly, not through projection, not through potential, but through emotional reality. Next, starting in June through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your 11th house. So, this feels socially transformative. Your friendships, communities, audiences, networking spaces, and collaborative relationships will evolve dramatically during this retrograde. Unexpected people may enter your life very quickly. And at the same time, you may outgrow social spaces, friendships, or long term goals that no longer feel aligned. This transit can also completely change the kinds of people you want around you long term. You may crave more intellectually stimulating, emotionally aware, growth oriented connections. And this is because your relationship standards are evolving. From July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which of course will be in your first house. So, this may feel emotionally intense because it puts a spotlight directly on your identity versus your relationships. So, you may notice yourself becoming more aware of where you people please, overcompromise, perform strength, seek validation, or make yourself responsible for other people's emotional comfort. At the same time, some relationships may temporarily feel overwhelming, dramatic, emotionally charged, or highly revealing. This transit is asking you to stop abandoning yourself to maintain connection. And That lesson can completely change the kinds of relationships you tolerate moving forward. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, your 10th house. So, this can bring deeper insecurities around visibility, leadership, success, public image, or whether certain relationships truly support your growth. So you may realize some people feel comfortable with your ambition only as long as it doesn't outgrow them. For some Leos, this can expose relationships that quietly create emotional pressure, competition, guilt, or subtle resentment around your growth. This transit is asking you to stop shrinking your future to maintain approval. Your success is not something you need to apologize for. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius transit is first to stop overcompromising yourself. Pay attention to where relationships require constant emotional self sacrifice. Healthy connection should not require abandoning your own needs. Next is to let your standards evolve. You are outgrowing certain dynamics for a reason. Stop forcing emotional alignment where growth has already created distance. Next is to pay attention to power dynamics. This retrograde will expose manipulation, imbalance, emotional control, or silent resentment within certain relationships. Trust what you notice. Next is to allow yourself to be fully seen. You do not need to minimize your confidence, ambition, or visibility to make others comfortable. And finally, choose relationships that expand your life. The right people will inspire growth, freedom, creativity, and emotional honesty, not emotional exhaustion. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is I choose relationships that honor my growth, my truth, and the person I am becoming. Be sure to let me know how the energy of Pluto retrograding in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And if you're on this journey with me, be sure to like this video, send it to someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay tapped in. And if you know you're meant for more but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you. Hey, Virgo. So, this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit means that this time is about you rebuilding your daily life in a way that supports your health, peace, purpose, and long term future. This Pluto retrograde is going to completely transform your relationship with work, productivity, responsibility, health, and the way you structure your life. Because Pluto moving through your sixth house is not interested in surface level habit changes, this transit will expose burnout, overfunctioning, people pleasing through usefulness, chronic stress, survival based productivity, and the systems in your life that quietly drain your energy every single day. Some Virgos will realize that they've normalized exhaustion for so long that they no longer recognize what balance even feels like. So you may begin noticing how much pressure you place on yourself to keep pushing, stay useful, be responsible, hold everything together, stay productive, or constantly improve yourself. But this retrograde is asking a much deeper question. What kind of life are you actually building if your nervous system never feels safe inside of it? So, this means that some Virgos will dramatically change jobs, schedules, routines, health habits, work environments, or lifestyle structures during this retrograde. Others may experience deep internal shifts around control, perfectionism, self criticism, and the emotional weight of always feeling responsible for everything. This transit is teaching you that your worth is not measured by how exhausted you are. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it will make a few aspects. One of the first being from May through October, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune in Aries in your eighth house. So, this aspect is going to bring deep emotional healing around stress, control, vulnerability, and the emotional burdens that you quietly carry. This energy can cause you to become increasingly aware of how emotional suppression affects your physical body and nervous system. For some Virgos, this could deepen your interest in somatic healing, nervous system work, psychology, spirituality, shadow work, or emotional healing modalities. At the same time, this transit can expose where fear of vulnerability has caused you to overcompensate through productivity or perfectionism. You are learning how to soften without losing your strength. Now, starting in June through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your 10th house. So, this energy is professionally transformative. Unexpected career opportunities, public visibility shifts, leadership changes, online opportunities, technology related work, or major changes in your long term direction will begin unfolding. Your work life will evolve rapidly during this retrograde. And you may realize that your current systems are no longer capable of supporting the level of growth that's trying to enter your life. This transit is asking you to modernize the way you work, lead, create, organize, and manage your energy. Working harder is not the answer anymore. Working differently is. Now, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is your 12th house. So, this may temporarily magnify burnout, emotional exhaustion, anxiety, or subconscious stress patterns. You may feel emotionally overwhelmed if you continue ignoring your need for rest, emotional processing, or alone time. At the same time, this transit can expose hidden resentment around constantly carrying responsibilities for other people while neglecting yourself. So, your body is going to become much louder during this period. So, be sure that you pay attention to it. This transit is asking you to stop treating your exhaustion like something you push through indefinitely. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which is your ninth house. So, this may bring some deeper insecurities around your future, purpose, expertise, education, visibility, or whether you truly trust yourself to build the life you want. So you may notice yourself questioning whether you're behind, whether you're capable enough, whether your work matters, or whether you're qualified to pursue something bigger. This transit can also expose how perfectionism has quietly kept you from expanding into larger opportunities. And this is because sometimes Virgos delay growth, waiting to feel fully ready. So, this retrograde is teaching you that growth often happens before certainty arrives. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius transit is first to stop normalizing burnout. Your body may be asking for major changes during this transit. Rest is not laziness, it's necessary maintenance for your nervous system. Next is to simplify what feels unnecessarily heavy. Not every responsibility needs to remain on your shoulders. Reevaluate what is actually sustainable long term. Next is to let your work evolve. Your current systems, routines, or career structures may no longer fit who you're becoming. So be sure to stay open to innovation and change. Next is to watch perfectionism carefully. For you, perfectionism may disguise itself as responsibility while quietly delaying your growth. Done is often better than perfect. And finally, prioritize emotional healing too. Your emotional health and physical health are deeply connected during this retrograde. Suppressed stress will become impossible to ignore. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto and Aquarius retrograde is: I release the pressure to earn my worth through exhaustion. I create a life that supports my health, peace, and growth. If you felt seen in this, be sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if you feel like you've outgrown where you are but don't know what comes next, a one-on-one with me will help you understand exactly what's shifting and why. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 different session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Libra. So, during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit, this time is about you reclaiming your joy, creativity, and self expression without needing permission to fully be yourself. This Pluto retrograde will completely transform your relationship with happiness. And while this may sound simple on the surface, this transit goes much deeper than that. Because Pluto is moving through your fifth house, this is not just about creativity, romance, or self expression. It is exposing where you've dimmed yourself, where you've suppressed your desires, where you've become emotionally disconnected from pleasure, and where fear of judgment has quietly controlled your self expression. This is because some Libras may realize that you've spent years prioritizing stability, responsibilities, relationships, or other people's comfort while slowly disconnecting from the parts of yourself that once felt playful, expressive, passionate, creative, romantic, or alive. And during this retrograde, those neglected parts of you will become impossible to ignore. This transit will also deeply transform creative projects, visibility, romantic dynamics, fertility themes, children, artistic pursuits, social media presence, or the courage to actually let yourself be seen. You are learning that joy is not something frivolous. It's part of your life force. And this retrograde will reveal how much power you reclaim when you stop abandoning the parts of yourself that want to create, express, love, and fully exist without apology. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it is going to make a few aspects. One of them being starting in May through October is a sextile to Neptune, currently in Aries in your seventh house. So, this aspect will completely shift your relationship standards. You could become more emotionally aware of what healthy partnership actually feels like versus what simply feels familiar. Some Libras may attract deeply transformative romantic or creative connections during this retrograde. Others may realize that certain relationships were built more on projection, fantasy, emotional dependency, or people pleasing than true compatibility. This aspect is also going to strengthen your creativity, your artistic voice, emotional expression, and creative intuition may deepen dramatically during this time. You are being asked to stop filtering yourself so heavily for the comfort of other people. Now, starting around June 1st through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your ninth house. So, this feels expansive and creatively liberating. Your perspective on life will begin changing very quickly. So, you could suddenly feel called toward teaching, writing, travel, content creation, education, spirituality, or creative risk that once felt too unrealistic. This transit is also going to completely change your creative direction, online presence, audience, or the way that you share your ideas publicly. The more authentic your self expression becomes, the more opportunities will begin finding you. So, this transit rewards originality. From July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is your 11th house. So, this may temporarily create tension between your authentic self expression and the expectations of other people. So, you may notice yourself becoming more uncomfortable performing versions of yourself just to maintain approval, attention, friendships, audiences, or belonging within certain spaces. At the same time, this transit could expose where external validation has quietly influenced your creative choices, dating patterns, or public identity. This retrograde is asking you to stop abandoning your authenticity to stay accepted. Not everyone is meant to resonate with the real version of you, and that's okay. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which is your 8th house. So, this could bring deeper emotional wounds around vulnerability, rejection, intimacy, trust, visibility, or allowing yourself to fully receive love and support. For some Libras, you may realize that you've protected yourself emotionally by staying overly detached, overly accommodating, or emotionally guarded in ways that you may not have fully recognized before. This transit can also expose fears around being seen too clearly, being rejected, being emotionally dependent, or losing control within intimacy. So, of course, this may feel emotionally intense at times, but it's helping you to heal the deeper fears that have kept your heart partially closed. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius is first to let yourself take up more space. Remember that you are not meant to constantly edit your personality, creativity, or desires to remain emotionally palatable for everyone else. Next is to reconnect with what brings you alive. Happiness is not a distraction from your purpose, it's part of your alignment. So be sure to prioritize what genuinely excites and inspires you. Next is to watch where validation influences your choices. This retrograde will expose where external approval has quietly shaped your self expression or relationships. Choose authenticity over performance. Next is to allow vulnerability without over controlling. Not every emotional risk will end in rejection. Let yourself experience deeper emotional honesty. And finally, follow creative impulses seriously. Creative ideas, visibility opportunities, artistic projects, or public self expression will become deeply transformative during this retrograde. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto in Aquarius retrograde is: I allow myself to be fully seen, fully expressed, and fully alive without shrinking for approval. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this Pluto retrograding in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And help this video reach who it's supposed to. So be sure to like this video, share it, hype it, and subscribe so that the universe and the algorithm keep delivering. And if you know you're meant for more, but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 different session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hi, Scorpio. So, this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit means this time is about you creating emotional safety within yourself instead of constantly searching for it through control, survival, or external stability. This Pluto retrograde is going to feel deeply personal because it is transforming the foundation of your life. This is because Pluto moving through your fourth house works underneath the surface. So, this is bringing up family dynamics, childhood conditioning, emotional survival patterns, your relationship with safety, your living environment, ancestral wounds, and the emotional habits you developed growing up. Some of what surfaces during this retrograde may surprise you. You may begin realizing how many decisions you've made from a place of emotional self protection rather than true alignment. You may notice where you've normalized instability, emotional isolation, hyperindependence, or constantly feeling responsible for holding everything together emotionally. For some Scorpios, this retrograde can bring literal changes involving home, family, relocation, living situations, or restructuring your personal life. For others, the shifts may feel more internal. This transit is asking, what actually makes you feel emotionally safe now, not just emotionally familiar, because those are not always the same thing. And during this retrograde, your definition of home, family, safety, and emotional security may change permanently. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it will make a few major aspects. One of them beginning May through October, Pluto will make a sextile to Neptune, currently in Aries, in your sixth house. This aspect is going to slowly transform your relationship with your nervous system, your body, your emotional well being, and your daily routines. So you may become even more aware of how stress, emotional suppression, or unresolved emotional weight impacts your physical health and energy levels. Some Scorpios may feel drawn toward somatic healing, spiritual practices, nervous system regulation, restorative routines, or creating healthier emotional boundaries in your daily life. At the same time, this transit may also expose where you've been overly accustomed to functioning in survival mode. During this transit, you are learning how to create peace instead of constantly managing chaos. Next, starting around June 2nd through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your eighth house. So, this feels deeply transformative emotionally and financially. Unexpected shifts involving investments, business partnerships, shared finances, inheritance, debt, emotional intimacy, or psychological healing will begin to unfold during this retrograde. Simultaneously, this transit can bring major emotional breakthroughs around vulnerability, trust, attachment, and emotional dependency. Some Scorpios will finally release emotional patterns that you've carried for years. And honestly, the emotional freedom that comes from that release is going to feel life changing because you are no longer meant to emotionally survive through hyper control. Now, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is your 10th house. So, this may temporarily create tension between your personal life and your public life. So, career demands, leadership responsibilities, visibility, or external expectations may feel emotionally overwhelming if your inner world already feels depleted. Now, this transit can also expose where you've prioritized achievement while neglecting your emotional needs. So, some Scorpios may realize that they've become emotionally exhausted trying to maintain strength for everyone else. This transit is asking you to stop treating emotional suppression like maturity. Your emotional needs matter too. Finally, August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which is your 7th house. So, this may bring relationship wounds to the surface very directly. This can show up romantically, but it may also show up through friendships, family dynamics, business relationships, clients, or anyone that you feel emotionally connected to. So you may begin realizing how childhood conditioning or emotional survival patterns have shaped your relationships more than you realize. So this transit can expose your fear of vulnerability, fear of abandonment, emotional defensiveness, trust issues, or patterns of overgiving and overprotecting yourself emotionally. So, some of these realizations may feel uncomfortable, but ultimately liberating because once you become conscious of those patterns, you stop unconsciously repeating them. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius transit is first to redefine emotional safety. Familiar chaos is not the same thing as genuine peace. So pay attention to what actually helps your nervous system feel safe now. Next is to stop carrying everything alone. This retrograde is going to expose how heavily you rely on emotional self protection. So be sure to allow trusted people to support you too. Next is to heal the foundation, not just the symptoms. Surface level fixes may no longer work. So focus on the deeper emotional patterns underneath what's happening externally. Next is to protect your energy at home. Your environment matters deeply during this retrograde. So create spaces that feel calming, supportive, and emotionally restorative. Finally, let yourself soften. Remember that strength does not require emotional isolation. During this time, vulnerability will become a major part of your healing. A great affirmation for you during this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius energy is I release survival based patterns and create emotional safety, peace, and stability from within. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius energy is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this brought you clarity that you didn't have before, be sure to hit like, share this video, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay tapped in. And if you felt seen here, a one on one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 different session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Sagittarius. So, during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit, this is about you speaking with honesty, clarity, and intention instead of hiding your truth to avoid discomfort or misunderstanding. This Pluto retrograde is going to completely transform the way you think, communicate, process information, and express yourself. This is because Pluto moving through your third house is not just changing your voice, it's changing the entire relationship you have with your own mind. And some Sagittariuses may realize that they've spent years talking around what they truly feel instead of directly addressing it. So you may notice patterns such as avoiding difficult conversations, using humor to deflect vulnerability, staying mentally overstimulated, talking yourself out of your own intuition, or constantly distracting yourself from what's emotionally uncomfortable. This retrograde may also deeply transform contracts, business communication, content creation, teaching, writing, social media, learning, public speaking, sibling dynamics, or the way you share your ideas with the world. So, your words are going to carry much more weight during this retrograde. And because of that, this transit is asking you to become more conscious of what you say, what you avoid saying, and the stories you continuously repeat to yourself internally. Some of the biggest transformations during this retrograde are going to happen through conversations that completely change your perspective. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it's going to make a few major aspects. One of the first being a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your fifth house. So, this aspect is going to dramatically deepen your creativity and emotional expression. So, your ideas are going to feel more inspired, intuitive, artistic, emotionally layered, or spiritually charged during this retrograde. So, some Sagittariuses may feel called toward storytelling, music, teaching, creative content, writing, media, or expressing themselves in ways that feel much more emotionally honest than before. At the same time, this transit may also expose where fear of rejection has caused you to filter your voice too heavily. You are learning how to express yourself more authentically without constantly trying to manage how you'll be perceived. Now, starting around June 2nd through October, Pluto in Aquarius is going to make a trine to Uranus in Gemini, currently in your seventh house. So, this energy feels socially and mentally transformative. So, unexpected conversations, contracts, collaborations, relationships, or partnerships will completely shift your perspective during this retrograde. Some Sagittarius risings may attract highly intelligent, unconventional, emotionally awakening people into their lives. And simultaneously, certain relationships may evolve quickly because your communication style is changing. So you are going to become a lot less tolerant of superficial conversations, emotional avoidance, or relationships where honesty feels unsafe. This transit is also supporting major breakthroughs in networking, social media platforms, teaching, business, speaking, or audience growth. During this time, your voice is evolving, and so are the people that are drawn toward it. Next, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which will be in your ninth house. So, this may temporarily create mental overwhelm or tension between your current reality and your future vision. So, you may feel pulled between what feels familiar and what feels expansive. Some Sagittarius risings could become more restless, impatient, emotionally overstimulated, or frustrated with limitations during this period. While at the same time, this transit will expose where certain belief systems, environments, or mental habits no longer support your growth. You are not meant to think as small as you once did. And that realization will completely shift the direction of your life over time. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which will be in your sixth house. So, this could bring stress around work, routines, communication overload, mental burnout, or just feeling emotionally exhausted by constant responsibilities. So, you may notice how strongly your mental state affects your physical body during this period. This transit is also going to expose negative self talk, perfectionism, overthinking, anxiety, people pleasing through helpfulness, or constantly feeling responsible for fixing everything. And during this transit, your nervous system will no longer tolerate the same level of mental overload that you once pushed through. This retrograde is asking you to become more protective of your mental energy. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius transit is first to be more intentional with your words. Your communication carries enormous power during this retrograde. So speak clearly, honestly, and consciously. Next is to watch your self talk carefully. The way you speak to yourself internally is going to become very revealing. So pay attention to repetitive thought patterns that limit your growth. Next is to protect your nervous system. Mental overstimulation is going to lead to emotional exhaustion quickly. So be sure to create more rest, quiet, and intentional disconnection from constant information. Next is to allow your creativity to evolve. Your voice, ideas, and creative expression are changing. So stop forcing yourself to communicate the same way you always have. And finally, have the conversations you've been avoiding. This retrograde is going to bring major clarity through honesty. Difficult conversations will ultimately create freedom. A great affirmation for you during this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius is: my voice is powerful, honest, and transformative. I release fear based silence and trust my truth fully. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius transit is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, if this is the kind of truth that you've been looking for, be sure to like this video, share it, hype it, and subscribe so the universe keeps us synced. And if you felt seen here, a one on one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session with me can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Capricorn. So, during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit, this time is about you recognizing your value without needing constant proof, productivity, or external validation to feel worthy. This Pluto retrograde is going to completely transform your relationship with self worth, money, security, and the way you define value. This is because Pluto moving through your second house is not just about finances. It exposes scarcity patterns, survival fears, overworking, attachment to stability, fear of losing control, and the emotional meaning you've attached to success, productivity, and security over time. During this transit, some Capricorns may realize that they've built their entire sense of safety around constantly achieving, producing, or staying in control. You may notice how uncomfortable rest feels, how hard it is to receive support, how much pressure you place on yourself financially, or how deeply your self worth has become tied to what you accomplish. This retrograde is also going to bring major shifts involving business structures, income, spending habits, financial priorities, investments, pricing, career direction, or the kinds of work you're willing to do moving forward. But underneath all of that, this transit is asking a much deeper question. Who are you when your worth is no longer measured by how much you produce? And that question is going to change your life more than any financial shift itself. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it's going to make a few major aspects. One of them being a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your fourth house. So, this aspect is slowly transforming your emotional relationship with safety and stability. So, you may become more aware of how childhood conditioning, family expectations, or early emotional experiences shaped your beliefs around money, success, work, and survival. Some Capricorns may realize that they've learned very early that security had to be earned through responsibility, achievement, or emotional self sufficiency. This transit is asking you to soften some of those survival patterns. At the same time, you could feel more drawn toward creating a home life and emotional foundation that feels peaceful instead of constantly pressured. During this transit, you are learning that emotional safety matters just as much as financial security. Next, starting around June 2nd through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini, currently in your sixth house. So, this energy feels highly innovative financially and professionally. Unexpected work opportunities, new business models, technology related income streams, schedule changes, or entirely new approaches to productivity may begin unfolding during this retrograde. Some Capricorns may completely modernize the way that they work, and others may realize that their current routines are no longer sustainable long term. This transit rewards flexibility, innovation, and willingness to evolve. And through doing that, you will discover that working smarter creates much more freedom than simply working harder. From July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which will be in your eighth house. So, this may temporarily magnify financial pressure, emotional vulnerability, or fears around dependency and control. So, issues involving debt, shared resources, business partnerships, taxes, investments, or emotional reciprocity may become more emotionally charged during this period. Simultaneously, this transit may expose where you struggle to receive support because self reliance has become part of your identity. This retrograde is asking you to stop viewing vulnerability as weakness. You do not need to carry every burden alone to prove your strength. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which will be your fifth house. So, this may bring deeper insecurities around creativity, visibility, self expression, dating, or allowing yourself to pursue what genuinely excites you. Some Capricorn risings may realize that they've become so focused on responsibility that they've slowly disconnected from pleasure altogether. So, this transit is going to expose any guilt around rest, fun, creativity, spending money on yourself, or prioritizing happiness over productivity. And that awareness is going to feel emotional because this retrograde is teaching you that happiness is not irresponsible, it's necessary. Now, some of the best ways for you to use this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius transit is first to separate your worth from your productivity. You do not need to constantly prove your value through exhaustion, achievement, or overworking. Your worth already exists. Next is to reevaluate your relationship with money. This retrograde will expose financial fears, scarcity patterns, or outdated beliefs around security. So be sure to stay honest about what truly creates stability now. Next is to allow your work life to evolve. Your routines, business structures, or income streams may need innovation. So stay open to doing things differently. Next is to let yourself experience joy without guilt. Rest, creativity, pleasure, and emotional fulfillment are not distractions from success. They are part of a healthy life. And finally, practice receiving support. You may not need to carry every responsibility alone. So let trusted people help you sometimes. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit is: I release survival based pressure and allow myself to build security, success, and happiness in healthier ways. Be sure to let me know how the energy of this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius energy is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this is the kind of truth you've been looking for, be sure to like, share, hype, and subscribe so the universe keeps us synced. And if you felt seen here, a one-on-one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session with me can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Hey, Aquarius. So, this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit means that this time is about you fully becoming who you actually are instead of continuing to perform versions of yourself built around survival, approval, or emotional detachment. This Pluto retrograde is going to feel deeply personal because Pluto is moving through your first house. And this is one of the most identity altering transits you can experience. You are changing at a core level, not just externally, but psychologically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and physically. And during this retrograde, you're going to begin realizing how many versions of yourself were created to survive certain environments, relationships, expectations, or emotional experiences. Now, some Aquariuses may notice changes involving visibility, appearance, confidence, identity, relationships, career direction, personal priorities, or the way other people respond to you. But underneath all of that, this transit is forcing a much deeper transformation. You are no longer meant to shrink yourself to stay emotionally safe. You are no longer meant to disconnect from your emotions to maintain control. And you are no longer meant to shapeshift into whatever version of yourself feels most acceptable to other people. And that realization will completely change your life over the next several years. Because Pluto retrograde in your first house forces radical self honesty. And once you truly see yourself clearly, it becomes impossible to keep living from outdated identities. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it's going to make a few major aspects. One of them being a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your third house. So, this aspect is going to dramatically deepen your intuition, communication style, creativity, and emotional awareness. You are going to become a lot more emotionally honest during this retrograde, especially in the way you express yourself, communicate, create content, speak publicly, or share your ideas. Some Aquariuses may completely change their voice, branding, online presence, communication style, or the way that they present themselves socially. Simultaneously, this transit will expose where emotional detachment has become a defense mechanism. You are learning how to express yourself more vulnerably without losing your strength. Next, starting around June 2nd through October, Pluto in Aquarius will make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your fifth house. This energy feels incredibly liberating creatively and personally. So, this is unexpected opportunities that involve creativity, romance, audience growth, visibility, children, dating, artistic pursuits, or passion projects that begin to unfold quickly during this retrograde. So, this could cause you to feel drawn toward self expression that feels bold, unconventional, emotionally honest, and deeply authentic. The more fully you allow yourself to be seen, the more magnetic you will become. This transit rewards originality, not performance. Next, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is your seventh house. So, this may temporarily magnify relationship dynamics very intensely. So, this can show up romantically, but also through your relationships, clients, collaborations, business partnerships, audiences, or anyone who reflects your growth back to you. Some Aquariuses may realize that certain relationships were built around older versions of themselves that no longer exist. So you may begin to notice where people expect emotional access you no longer want to provide, where relationships feel emotionally imbalanced, or where your growth makes certain people uncomfortable. This transit is asking you to stop abandoning your evolution to preserve connection. And that may become one of the biggest lessons of this retrograde. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which is your fourth house. So, this feels deeply emotional and rooted in your foundation. Old wounds around belonging, emotional safety, family dynamics, childhood conditioning, or feeling emotionally understood will surface strongly during this period. So you may realize how heavily your current identity has been shaped by survival patterns developed early in life. And you'll find that some of those patterns may no longer fit the person you're becoming. This transit can also expose where you've struggled to feel safe being your authentic self. But this retrograde is helping you to reclaim that safety internally. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius transit is first to let your identity evolve. You are not meant to stay the same version of yourself forever. Stop forcing yourself to maintain identities that no longer feel authentic. Next is to stop emotionally shapeshifting for approval. Pay attention to where you minimize, detach, or alter yourself to remain emotionally acceptable to others. Next is to be more honest about your emotional needs. This retrograde is going to expose how often you intellectualize emotions instead of fully feeling them. Emotional honesty is part of your transformation during this time. Next is to prioritize authentic self expression. Your creativity, visibility, voice, and originality are going to become incredibly magnetic during this retrograde. So let yourself be fully seen. And finally, Rebuild emotional safety from within. Healing old emotional conditioning will become super important during this period. Remember, your nervous system deserves stability too. A great affirmation for you during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit is I fully honor who I am becoming. I release outdated identities and allow my authentic self to lead my life. Be sure to let me know how the energy of Pluto retrograding in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And if you're on this journey with me, be sure to like this video, send it to someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay tapped in together. And if you feel like you've outgrown where you are but don't know what comes next, a one-on-one with me will help you understand exactly what's shifting and why. One session with me can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for. Hey, Pisces. So, during this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius transit, this time is about you facing what's been hidden beneath the surface so you can finally stop unconsciously abandoning yourself. This Pluto retrograde is going to feel deeply internal. This is quiet, emotional, spiritual, psychological, and transformative in ways other people may not fully see yet. This is because Pluto moving through your 12th house is not focused on external performance. It's focused on everything happening underneath it. So, this transit exposes subconscious patterns, self sabotage, suppressed emotions, escapism, emotional avoidance, unprocessed grief, hidden fears, addictive coping mechanisms, and the emotional weight you quietly carry behind the scenes. Some Pisces are going to realize that they've spent years emotionally surviving through avoidance without fully recognizing it. So, this could look like staying busy to avoid feeling, romanticizing situations that hurt, escaping into fantasy, overgiving, emotionally disappearing when overwhelmed, or carrying emotional pain silently without asking for support. This retrograde is not here to punish you. It's here to help you become conscious of the patterns that have quietly controlled your life from underneath the surface. And while that process can feel emotionally intense at times, it's also going to become one of the most healing periods you've experienced in years. Because once unconscious patterns become conscious, you finally have the power to change them. Now, during Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius, it's going to make a few major aspects. One of the first being a sextile to Neptune in Aries, currently in your second house. So, this aspect is going to slowly transform your relationship with money, emotional security, self worth, and the way you value yourself internally. So, you could begin recognizing how much your financial patterns, emotional habits, and relationship choices have been influenced by subconscious fears you never fully addressed. At the same time, your intuition could become incredibly strong during this retrograde. So, dreams may feel more vivid, synchronicities could increase, and your body may react more strongly to environments and people that drain your energy. This transit is going to also help you slowly rebuild confidence from the inside out instead of constantly searching for external validation. Next, from around June 2nd through October, Pluto in Aquarius is going to make a trine to Uranus in Gemini in your fourth house. So, this energy feels deeply healing emotionally and psychologically. So, unexpected breakthroughs around family patterns, emotional conditioning, childhood wounds, living situations, or your relationship with emotional safety are going to unfold during this retrograde. Some Pisces may suddenly realize how heavily the past has influenced their present behavior. And that awareness is going to completely shift how you move through relationships and emotional decisions moving forward. This transit can also bring major healing around your nervous system and emotional environment. Your body is no longer going to tolerate chaos the way it once did. And this is because you are learning how to create peace instead of constantly adapting to instability. Next, from July 20th through August 5th, Pluto in Aquarius will make an opposition to Jupiter in Leo, which is going to be in your sixth house. So, this may temporarily magnify burnout, emotional exhaustion, avoidance patterns, or unhealthy coping mechanisms. You may realize that your daily life has become unsustainable emotionally, mentally, or physically. At the same time, this transit is also going to expose where you've ignored your emotional needs while continuing to function for everyone else. So, some Pisces risings may notice anxiety, sleep issues, emotional overwhelm, or nervous system fatigue becoming much harder to ignore. Your body may be asking for change very directly during this period. This transit is asking you to stop abandoning yourself through overextension. Finally, from August 9th through September 17th, Pluto in Aquarius will make a square to Chiron in Taurus, which will be in your third house. So this feels deeply mental and emotional. Old wounds around communication, self expression, fear of judgment, emotional suppression, or negative self talk will surface strongly during this period. So you may notice how often your inner dialogue defaults toward self doubt, overthinking, fear of speaking up, or minimizing your own needs. Some of these patterns may feel so automatic that you barely realized they were there before now. But this retrograde is helping you uncover these subconscious stories that have quietly shaped your life for years. And once you recognize those stories clearly, you can begin rewriting them. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with this retrograde Pluto and Aquarius energy is to first stop avoiding what needs healing. This retrograde is going to bring powerful emotional truths to the surface. Facing them honestly will create enormous freedom long term. Next is to protect your nervous system. Your sensitivity is going to increase dramatically during this period. Rest, solitude, emotional processing, and healthy boundaries will matter deeply. Next is to watch your inner dialogue carefully. Negative self talk is going to become more obvious now. So pay attention to the stories you continuously repeat to yourself internally. Next is to let yourself release emotional weight. You do not need to carry unresolved grief, guilt, shame, or emotional responsibility forever. Healing requires letting go. And finally, prioritize emotional safety. Your environment, relationships, routines, and emotional habits are going to need major restructuring to support your peace moving forward. A great affirmation for you during this retrograde Pluto in Aquarius is: I release unconscious patterns that keep me disconnected from myself. I choose healing, peace, and emotional truth. Be sure to let me know how the energy of Pluto retrograding in Aquarius is showing up for you in the comments below. And if you're on this journey with me, be sure to like this video, send it to your people who need it, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay tapped in together. And if you know you're meant for more, but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so